what you're saying sounds a little scary. Because it's going to be, human beings are virtually going to be redundant. So then what do we do? If you're going to live in a virtual where there will be driverless cars, electric cars, and all those.
Now you understand it. You are even telling me electric cars.
Well, you are scaring
computerized cars. No, you agree with me.
Yeah.
And that now you go to the GPS and it will tell you the directions, whatever. So you don't need any human being to tell you where to go and how to go. And that's the virtual world I'm trying to say. And that instead of being scared, why don't you try to understand the virtual system? Why don't you try to understand the information technology age that we are in? And then you'll be part of the system. I'm happy to know that some pastors are saying that, oh, let's hold on to the congregation. Let us do our service and sermons still online. And I think they are now visionary. They are understanding the 21st century. But those pastors that are still thinking that human beings will have to congregate before they believe they are worshiping our Jesus Christ. No, that time is over. Jesus is not here. But all over the world, everybody is worshiping him because he's in spirit. And night is just like spirit. It's the virtual form for which we have to understand. That's why I'm emphasizing on talent. That's why physically. I don't know whether viewers now know that the Olympic Games is now online. And it's being created by somebody in South Africa. That everybody will run his own race in his own country, in his own field, in his own house or room, on a machine, and it will be monitored in South Africa, and they will know who runs fastest. So very soon, athletics will be done all over the world without congregating in a particular country. That's what football is going to be like. I don't know how you can imagine it, but we play the football against each other in different countries. I don't want to stretch your brain too far, but I believe that understanding me and the concept of virtual world and learning the IT in a very strong way will be the way forward for you. For now, I have a daughter who did computer engineering, and I'm telling her to emphasize on cybersecurity, because people are going to use the little knowledge that they know about IT to cheat others.
Yeah.
So the cybersecurity is going to be an area of specialization that will pay so much, because everybody will wish to protect the little that they have. So that's the future. You can also go into cybersecurity. This is the advice I've given to my daughter anyway, but I'm sharing with you. Otherwise, any other aspect of IT is the way forward. The second thing is the vocations, because even though the software can do the design, can organize the air conditioning, but it cannot lift the air conditioning into the wall of your home. So physical things, vocations is what I recommend for the graduates, because right now it's more of vocation. So COTVET and TVET should be taken seriously, and I want the government to emphasize on that. I want the government to emphasize on soccer. I want the government to emphasize on entertainment. These are the areas that have future for this country.
This will be both good and challenging news for the millions of people who've lost their jobs and are sitting at home because of COVID-19. But then how many can really, go into this IT? It looks a little bit complicated for a lot of people, particularly those who are of advanced age.
After independence, those that went to school, those were the people that could see the future. And those are the people that made it eventually after 20, 30 years. So is it now that I'm talking about this? If people can take me serious and take the ideas I'm saying serious, the next 10 to 20 years, those will be the people that will rule this country. And I'm happy that this government is talking about digitalization. And they have started the digitalization of payment systems to government. And I believe a lot of things are going to be on digital things. Now we have this paperless clearing of goods at the harbor. Things are changing. And so people should also change their mindset and go into IT.
So, Doc, that's probably a little bit for the future. What about those who are sitting home unemployed, probably because of COVID-19? What are the job?
You should come to me for advice, and I'll take it as a fee. As a fee, you know.
If you can help us with a few business opportunities, can you just give us one or two?
I'm giving you so much.
No, I mean businesses and the business opportunities that
so much.
In the short term that people can look at.
In the short term, you can read my book. The last chapter talks about investment opportunities. Okay. The last chapter talks about investment opportunities, for which I think people should be able to read, get a copy of these fundamentals of entrepreneurship, and they will get all the ideas in it. This is book one. Book two talks about how to start your business, how to run it, customer care, IT, and others, insurance, and all the others. And I believe they will be better off. For now, let us say that subsequently, if a group of people want me to advise them on the business opportunities, I'm prepared for that. But we need to have a dialogue of how to do it and where to do it and how
to do
for
it.
them to achieve what they want to have.
Okay. In your first book,
Yes.
there's 7 principles of success and wealth creation. I think this was one of the best books I've ever read.
Yes.
Actually, and thank you so much for giving me a copy.
Yes.
You mentioned first of all, what's your definition of success and then wealth?
Yes. In this book, I said, I've been poor before and I've been rich.
Right.
Believe me, rich is better. So, having gone through life in a hard way, I came up with these 7 principles that I believe is also in line with the Bible, in line with the Quran and other religious books. Right. But this one I've made it such that any other faith can depend upon. I'm saying that we as a people should be reliable. And I have given the difference between honesty and reliability. That being reliable is something like a tool, like a ruler. 12 inches is 1 foot in Ghana, in Nigeria, in a French-speaking country, in Russia, in America, everywhere. That is reliability. So the ruler is a reliable tool. Be honest, you are not sure. Plus or minus, that's why we call plus or minus something. That is, you are not sure. That's be honest. So, for example, if you are all to meet at 9 o'clock and you come at 9:15, to you have come. But then were you reliable? You borrow my pen and you forget to give it back to me. And when I ask for it, oh, here is your pen. To you, you've been honest. You have not stolen the pen, all right. But were you reliable? You take your car to a mechanic, full tank of fuel. It comes back to you half tank or sometimes empty. To them, they brought your car back. But were they reliable? And all these little mistakes that we do cumulatively makes us poor, unfortunately. And when you are being confronted, we are the first people that will give you excuses of why you did not do what you need to do. So again, I've compiled a whole list of excuses Ghanaians give because of the rain. Oh, I forgot. Circumstances beyond my control. From top to bottom, everybody gives excuses. When you go to the church, it's even worse. Oh, it's Satan. It's not yet God's time yet. We went to a crusade. We went for a convention as an excuse for not doing what he's supposed to do. And yet, we call ourselves Christians. Meanwhile, God is reliable. Time that the world will have morning, you have it. Night will come, and it's continuously reliable. Why is it that we change our character in Ghana And we have a different character when we travel to Europe and America. And then I'm saying that the second principle is hard work. Are we hardworking? If you go to work at 8 o'clock and close at 5, to you, be hardworking. To me, we've worked normally. Hard work is what do you do before 8 and what do you do after 5. The next principle is don't spend it all. Our savings culture is also poor. And here I talk about soul money, something that you save little at a time, but is untouchable till you die. You leave it as a legacy. How many people have it? Soul money. It's different from the normal savings in the bank. This one, you don't see it in any accountancy book. Banking and finance, they never teach soul money. But I'm telling you that money is spirit. And that spirit goes into a magnet. So wherever there's money, there is a magnetic force
that attracts other
money. Meanwhile, you are not aware. So you don't have that kind of money. And so you'll forever be poor. God is all wisdom. Asked Adam to go. And Adam was standing there. And he told him, there's gold, there's diamond, so go. Before Adam went. Check in the book of Mike Addo. Then you see that Adam was giving gold and diamond before he left.
The book of what?
Mike Addo.